Sankirtana ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sargajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakamitamsha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kansara Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Mancha Kalpa Karunasya Kripa Sindhu Devacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktivedanta. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So, today we'll continue our discussion on chapter 3. After we had a couple of welcoming ceremonies of Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita, we're back into studying this wonderful Bhagavad Gita. Hopefully everybody had a nice Nirjala Ekadashi, most auspicious Ekadashi, and we're very fortunate to have knowledge about the importance of observing Ekadashi. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, in his instructions, guided us on the importance of observing Ekadashi. So chapter 3, the title of chapter 3 is Karma Yoga, which means karma, action, in yoga, meaning in union with Krishna. How to perform our activities in connection with Krishna. So in the first verse, Arjuna asks Krishna a question, which says, why do you want me to engage in this ghastly warfare? When Krishna was speaking about using your intelligence to keep these abominable activities far away, Arjuna has misunderstood that spirituality means that we should withdraw ourselves from performing action. That we should just retire from all that and practice spirituality. So he has misunderstood Krishna's instruction. Okay? So he has explained that, and Arjuna asked, tell me unequivocally which is best. And Krishna said, not merely by abstaining from work can one achieve freedom, nor by renunciation alone can one attain perfection. So just renouncing work will not lead to purification. Right? So, because we know the soul is active, as Krishna explains in the 5th verse, everyone is forced to act helplessly. The nature of the soul is to be active. So the question then is, how to be productive in our activity? How can we find activities that will yield good results? How many of us want good results from our activities? We all want some positive outcome to come. The only reason we put forth effort in anything is to get a good result. Right? And what is that ultimate result we want from all of our activities? Happiness. We want eternal happiness and peace. Not just for us, but for everyone. Our loved ones, our family, our friends, if we are very broad-minded, our society, our country, humanity, if we're even more broad-minded, not even humans, but all living entities, right? So we must inquire how to work in a productive manner, meaning how to work in a way that will create eternal, everlasting happiness. So Krishna gives his conclusive instruction in verse 8, where he says, perform your prescribed duty, for doing so is better than not working. So what are we supposed to do?
Whatever is our regular duty, we should perform them.
We should do our prescribed duty. We should not abandon our duty. Right? And in the 9th verse, he gives the very influential verse, that how should our work be done? As a sacrifice to? Now what does that mean, to do our work as a sacrifice? Does that mean everything we should do should be yajna, offering grains into the fire? What does work as a sacrifice mean? Control the senses without attachment to the results, to the fruits. Sacrifice means I put forth the endeavor, and the fruits I give to my neighbor, I give to Krishna. So he says, work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, what happens when we do work?
We will get attached.
Karmic reactions. Which means?
Birth.
When birth comes, what else comes with it? Old age, disease, death, miseries. You're also negative. No, that's the reality. So the fruit of attached work, meaning I do work and I keep the results for myself, leads to birth, death, old age, and disease. So how to do work in a way that doesn't create such bondage? Bondage means we are bound to the material world. We are tied with giant ropes on our feet, arms, to the material world. So how to work and not create bondage? What is Krishna saying? Work as a sacrifice. And when we are not bound to the material world, what is the end result? What is the result when we have no bondage?
Yeah, they will not bliss and happiness.
We're happy. We're bliss. So we said we want to work to create some happiness. Right? We want to work to create a good outcome. So, working attached to the fruit results in misery. Working detached from the fruit results in happiness. Is the formula so complicated? Then why we don't close up and we're done? We said the goal of studying is to find happiness, so what else do we need? Because detaching from the result is not so easy. We are not so convinced. And we may not know how to detach from the result. So thankfully Krishna continues to instruct all of us. So he begins to speak in 10, 11, 12 about different types of sacrifices which have the goal, these karma kanda sacrifices. Meaning I do some yajna and I hope to get some sense enjoyment from them. Some higher sense enjoyment. So it's regulated, meaning I follow some prescribed yajnas in the Vedas. And for that, I get some benefit. So, is that the perfection of our action? Is that the best activity we can perform? Why not? What is the result of those types of activities?
Those are for material, but you have to connect with the soul.
Those are for material activities. They're not connecting to the soul. And what is the nature of the fruits in material world? They have two characteristics. Temporary
Limited.
and limited. But we want what kind of fruits?
Permanent.
Nobody says, I would like a temporary amount of wealth. Nobody says, I would like to temporarily enjoy a sunny day in the park. We want eternal. And nobody wants to be limited. We go to the amusement park, we want to ride everything unlimitedly. So, these yajnas lead to some enjoyment, but also some suffering, because we'll lose it. So this regulated sense enjoyment is better than unregulated sense enjoyment. So unregulated sense enjoyment, I do whatever I want. To each his own. Eat, drink, and be merry. I'll do whatever I want. I don't care what, and nobody can tell me what to do. So that is an option we have. And that result is some enjoyment and lots of suffering. Because those activities often, mostly involve performing impious or sinful activities. Right? Intoxicating, taking to flesh, gambling, illicit activities. These are the main four. I do whatever I want, but I have to take the result. So better than that is to perform some regulated enjoyment. So it is better. But beyond that lies bhakti, which gives eternal happiness, eternal bliss, and no side effects. So both regulated karma kanda sacrifices and bhakti require renouncing the fruits. But in one case we are renouncing the fruits to the various devatas according to yajna. And in this aspect of bhakti, where are we renouncing the fruits to? To Krishna. And the benefit of renouncing the fruits to Krishna is one gets eternal happiness and unlimited happiness. So is there any clarity, lack of clarity, how we should work? One is a sacrifice, and two, for the pleasure of Krishna. But still it's not so easy. So Krishna spoke in the 14th and 15th verse. He showed how every moment of our existence is dependent on the mercy ultimately of Krishna. Those of us who went through Nirjala yesterday know the pains of going through without food. How happy you would be without food. If you knew you had giant palaces, big treasury, big armies, so many servants, royal clothes. If you don't have food, how happy you'll be. You'll be in bliss? Yesterday is a good example. But you can appreciate. So Krishna is explaining that food grains, they're produced from rains, which are produced from yajna. Yajnas come from prescribed duties. Prescribed duties are explained in the Vedas. And the Vedas come from Krishna. So ultimately, every grain of food we eat is coming directly by the mercy of Krishna. Every action we take, every breath we take, it is coming directly by the mercy of Krishna. But are we seeing it? That's the question. So Krishna did say in the 13th verse, one who eats foodstuffs which have not been offered to Krishna, what are we eating? Sin. Because even in taking a plant life, there is a soul. There is some violence occur to even the plant. Maybe much less than to an animal, but still there is some. So if that foodstuff is not offered to Krishna, then we have to bear the result, which is some sin. So how to eat in a sin-free way? Everything we consume must be offered to Krishna. So Krishna spoke in the 16th verse, my Arjuna, one who does not follow in human life the cycle of sacrifice established by Vedas certainly leaves a life full of sin. Living only for the satisfaction of the senses, such a person lives in vain. Again, why we are considered living a life of sin if we do not sacrifice? Why is it considered a sin?
Giving importance to sense enjoyment.
Okay, but yeah, so why is that considered sinful?
Because we're killing something.
We're not sacrificing. If I come into your home and I start taking your things without asking you, is that considered a very nice activity? Pious? No. That is considered thief. Stealing. If you go to the supermarket, oh, nice vegetables, nice this, I'll take it. Thank you very much. And you walk out. You'll be rewarded. What will happen? You'll be punished. So if I enter this material world and I try to use it just to satisfy my senses, what am I doing? I'm stealing. It's no different. Because did I bring the resources of the material world with me when I came in? Will I take it with me when I leave? No. So we're using someone's resources, someone's facilities. If we use them without properly paying for them, it's called stealing. And we know all thieves are punished. So Krishna says, if we do not, you'll live a life of sin. So living just for sense gratification means such a person lives in vain. What does it mean, lives in vain? Useless. No value. No value. Think about it. What has been achieved in the life that has just been full of eating, drinking, sleeping, and mating? What has really been achieved? Any permanent result? Nothing. But what has been acquired is so many sinful reactions. So this working is not so intelligent. So now Krishna speaks about, in the 17th verse, how to work in this higher platform. We talked about unregulated sense enjoyment, regulated sense enjoyment, the karma kanda processes, and now how to work for the ultimate result, which is eternal happiness and bliss, that is devotional service. The choice is ours. We all have independent free will. So we should acquire knowledge to see the pros and cons of each type of work, and then we decide what we want to do. So Krishna says now in the 17th verse, which we'll discuss today. Excuse me, before we discuss this verse, Krishna spoke in 14 and 15 about prescribed duties. Right? And he said there are various prescribed duties in the Vedas. And those prescribed duties give us regulated sense enjoyment. So the question may become, what may be the next question then? If I want to enter the top realm of work, the best type of work, what question should I have? What? Okay, what qualification do I have? And the second?
What are the steps?
What are the steps? What should I do? What is my prescribed duty in that realm? Right? My prescribed duty in working in the karma kanda for advanced sense enjoyment, regulated advanced sense enjoyment, is I have to do various yagyas, pujas, different sacrifices. And those are prescribed in the Vedas of what one should do. So what is the prescribed duty for one aspiring to perform bhakti, devotional service? What are those duties? Or do we have no duty? So that is what we'll discuss in 17, 18, and maybe even 19 today. Someone wants to read the verse?
But for one who takes the pleasure in the self, whose human life is one of the self-realization, and who is satisfied in self only, fully satiated from him through there is no duty.
Okay. A person who is fully Krishna conscious and is fully satisfied by his acts in Krishna consciousness no longer has any duty to perform. Due to his being Krishna conscious, all imperative within is instantly cleansed, an effect of many thousands of yajna performances. By such clearing of consciousness, one becomes fully confident of his eternal position in relationship with the Supreme. His duty thus becomes self-eliminated by the grace of the Lord, and therefore he no longer has any obligations to the Vedic injunctions. Such a Krishna conscious person is no longer interested in material activities and no longer takes pleasure in material arrangements like wine, women, and similar infatuations.
So, Krishna says, for him there is no duty. Does that mean we have no duty? Or what duty is Krishna speaking of when he says, for him there is no duty?
Sense enjoyment.
There is no prescribed duties related to sense enjoyment. These karma kanda sacrifices. Right? Let's remind fresh again. Why do we have a duty to perform sacrifice? Why do we have a duty to perform some sacrifice?
Prescribed in the Vedas.
It's prescribed in the Vedas. How we are going to pay for all the things we are using to maintain our life?
Yeah.
We have to pay. We have to satisfy the debts. Right? How many devatas are maintaining our existence? 33 million. They're arranging air, water, sunlight, earth, different facilities, so many varieties. So just like when the electricity bill comes, if we don't pay the electricity bill, the lights go off. We must pay. Right? So performance of these prescribed duties is satisfying the debt that we have. Now, Krishna is saying here, for him there is no duty. Does that mean we have no debts to the devatas? No. We have. Every breath we take, we are acquiring debts. They must be paid. Right? So, we can satisfy those debts in one of two ways. We can do these prescribed yagyas, which will go, as Krishna said previously, for the pleasure of the demigods. They will then reward you with various facilities. But now Krishna is recommending here, for one who takes pleasure in the self, whose human life is one of self-realization, and is satisfied with the self only, becomes what? Fully satiated. So let's pick apart this now. What does it mean, one who takes pleasure in the self? The self is capitalized here.
Who realizes the soul?
So realize I am spirit soul. And what is whose human life is one of self-realization? What are we realizing about my spirit soul? Hmm?
We are part and parcel of it.
Aham Brahmasmi, which means I am spirit soul. And what duty do I acquire when I realize I am spirit soul?
Serving the Supreme.
Serving
The Supreme.
the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Soul, Lord Krishna. Why, as spirit soul, I have that duty to serve Krishna?
It is the eternal position of the
That is the eternal constitutional position. That is our Sanatan Dharma. Our eternal occupation is to serve Krishna. Why? Because I am spirit soul. And my spirit soul is part and parcel of Krishna. The role of any part is to serve the whole. Hand is part of my body. Hand must serve the body. It has any other function? Hand has any other way to enjoy on its own? It must serve the whole. But when it serves the whole, does it lose? When it puts the gulab jamun in the mouth and it enters the belly, does the hand get the benefit of that?
Yes.
It also is rewarded. So the spirit soul, because it is part and parcel of Krishna, it has only one function, and that is to serve Krishna. So as soon as we say we must serve Krishna, what is the question we have when we say you serve everything, surrender everything to Krishna? What question do we have?
What do they have?
What is in it for me? What will happen to me? Right? So Krishna answers. What will happen when one has self-realization? When the whole life is full of self-realization, what is the result?
Fully satiated. Fully satisfied.
Fully satiated. What is the meaning when we say we are fully satisfied?
We don't need nothing.
We don't need anything. Which means then,
We got,
Achieve the highest
we got it
status.
all.
we got it all. As soon as there is a need of something, we become unhappy. We hanker. We lament for it. I wish I had this. I want that. When one is fully satiated, it means all of the needs are fully satisfied. One becomes fully happy. No more, I wish one more zero in my bank account. one more car, one more this, one more that, one more. Fully. Krishna doesn't say one will become happy. He could have said one will become happy, but will not understand how. So he says instead, you'll be fully satiated, which means every single one of your desires will be not partially fulfilled, fully fulfilled. But what does it take in order to reach this position? Self-realization, consciousness, and one, Krishna says, whose human life is one of self-realization. It means completely. Not, oh, during Bhakti Vriksha Sunday mornings I'm self-realized. And then after we leave, I am now body. I am back to being body. Spirit soul will revisit next week. Or while I chant my japa, I'll try to remember I am self-realized. And after I finish my japa, put the bead bag away. Now, what shall I do for my body? Will that yield full satiation? Krishna says, whose human life is one of self-realization. So self-realization is very, very important. So when Krishna says for him there is no duty, he said there is no prescribed duties. So why does the devotee of Krishna have no prescribed duties? Or what we can say, materially prescribed duties, to be more specific.
He has sacrificed everything to Lord.
He has sacrificed everything to Lord. But what happens to all the debts that we have?
They will all be taken care of.
They are all taken care of. They're all satisfied. In the beginning of our consciousness, when we say, oh, I should serve Krishna, what is the one doubt that remains in our mind? What about everyone else? Right? That's natural. That's a good question to ask of ourselves. Is it exclusive? Is it all-encompassing? We should find out. Is it? So we know Krishna is like the root of the tree. When you water the root, every single branch is nourished. Because Krishna is the Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigara Nadir Adir. He is the source of everything. He is Sarva Karana Karanam, the cause of all causes. So by performing our duty to Krishna, one has no other duty to perform. It means that all those other duties are automatically satisfied. Right? But you may say, but Krishna did not say that here. He did not say that directly here. How do we know for sure? You want to know for sure? Go to chapter 8 and read the 28th verse. What does Krishna say? Someone can read this verse? 8:28.
A person who accepts the path of devotional service is not bereft of the results derived from studying the Vedas, performing sacrifices, undergoing austerities, giving charity, or pursuing philosophical and fruitive activities. Simply by performing the devotional service, he attains all these, and at the end he reaches the supreme eternal abode.
Is Krishna leaving any unclear? He is saying a person who accepts the path of devotional service, of bhakti, is not bereft. What does bereft mean? It's not does not lose any of the results from studying the Vedas, performing sacrifices. Now we come back to this, performing sacrifices, undergoing austerities, intense tapasya, giving charity, or pursuing philosophical and fruitive activities. This gyan. By doing bhakti, one is not bereft of any of those results. Which means by doing devotional service, one includes all of these results.
You need to pass through these phases to reach bhakti now.
Where does Krishna say that?
I'm just asking you.
That's a good question. Hold that thought. Okay? The question is, does one need to pass through all these phases to come to bhakti? Right? That's a great question, because we need to know, to go to college, I know I have to pass through high school. To go to high school, I have to pass through middle school. So it's the same formula here? Let's see. But Krishna says, now devotional service, so if devotional service can give all the benefits of the other activities, then what's the difference between bhakti and the other activities? Right? But Krishna says, by rendering devotional service, he attains all of these, and, which means in addition to, one more benefit that no other path gives, no other process can give. What is that benefit? Eternal abode. What happens in the eternal abode? No more birth, no more old age, no more disease, no more death, no more miseries of the mind and body, no more miseries of conflict, no more natural disturbances. None of that. Just bliss. But how can one reach that? Any other way? It is the only way. And that is what Krishna explains in the 8th chapter, which we'll come to in some time. But, so, Krishna is previewing here in 17, no other duty. How he can say no other duty? Because by doing devotional service, all of the other results are already included. And it's not an assumption. Krishna says it just later in the Bhagavad Gita. So Prabhupada said, by such cleansing of consciousness, so by doing devotional service, all impiety becomes cleansed. In the Vedas, there are so many purificatory rites that are called prayaschita sacrifices. Which means I have performed some sinful activities, I must now atone for those sinful activities. I must become purified in them. Right? So I can take bath in the Ganges, I can perform some different, yagyas and sacrifices to obtain purification from those sins. Right? So by doing bhakti, how do we purify? Are we purified from sins?
Yes. Completely.
Krishna said, Aham tvam sarva papebhyo. I'll deliver you of all of your sins. If you surrender, ma may come unto me alone. Abandon all varieties and just do devotional service. Any of us have some sins to purify from? Just me? No, we have so many. Not just this lifetime, millions of lifetimes.
That's why we are suffering.
That's why we are suffering, yes.
You have taken birth.
It is not suffering because Krishna is mad at us. We are suffering because of our past action only. So Krishna conscious, all piety within. Now Prabhupada says, instantly cleanse. This is how powerful bhakti is. When we surrender the fruits of our work to Krishna, one is instantly cleansed. Not after a long, arduous, difficult process. So how we have to instantly be cleansed? Eat gulab jamuns offered to the Lord. That is difficult. Eat samosas offered to the Lord. See the beautiful forms of the Lord. Sing and dance with Him. Boy, this is really tough. Krishna is mean. In order to be instantly cleansed, He is making me sing. He is making me dance. He is making me eat. What kind of formula Krishna is giving? The sweetest of all sweetest formula. He says you don't need to go through intense austerity. Coming off of Nirjala, we think, but think once in a year. Once in a year, little austerity. This is the great love Krishna has for us. He makes the process so easy. How many of us cannot eat and sing and dance and render some service? There is such a bliss in even performing the most menial service. One gets such happiness. Today in the evening we'll talk about service in Rath Yatra. And those who have rendered experience, it's like this incredible experience. It's not hard and difficult. So, now, by performing our prescribed duties to Krishna, meaning the prescribed duties in the Vedas, do we have to perform them? No. We can if we want, but if we do not, and we begin to serve Krishna, will there be anything left behind?
No.
Krishna said in 8:28, everything is included. Well, if I perform some sinful activities, how I'll atone for those? By bhakti. And it is only bhakti that will remove the bijam and kutam, this tendency and proclivity to sin. Because the other prayaschita sacrifices, the problem is, when we atone for that sin, what happens? What happens immediately after we atone for some sin?
Bad reaction.
Huh?
You have to bad the reaction.
No, we have atoned, so those reactions are gone. We do it again. Why? Why do we continue sinning?
The desire is still.
The taste is still there. The taste is by bhakti. When we atone from sins through bhakti, the taste for the lesser activities automatically goes away. Why? Because we have tasted something so sweet, singing, dancing, enjoying, feasting with the Lord, that the taste for these lesser activities automatically go away, which means no future sins. Parikshit Maharaj compares the prayaschita sacrifices as like an elephant bath. He goes and bathes in a pond, elaborately cleansing the whole body, many hours spends. And as soon as it comes to the shore, it throws dirt back on its body. That is what we do. We atone sin, atone sin, atone sin. But by bhakti, the heart purifies. So not only does the atonement happen, but the desire is purified to a higher desire. Because remember, the only way to be fully satisfied is to understand I am eternally part and parcel of Krishna, which makes me His loving servant. That is the only way to be fully satisfied. Otherwise, our life is in vain. So now, we ask the question, okay, if I'm going to do bhakti, I'm going to do devotional service. I know it is the best, it has the eternal results, unlimited results. What's the next question? Already one came.
Whether I have progressed.
Whether I'm qualified to do it or not. And?
Whether I'm progressing to be a pure devotee.
Am I progressing to be a pure devotee? So I'll put that all in the category of qualification.
What happens after that?
What happens after? Well, Krishna said, fully satisfied. If we say fully satisfied, we don't even care if I go to the spiritual world. All we want is satisfaction. Right? Actually, if we think, all we want is satisfaction. And that is why the pure devotee doesn't even desire to go to the spiritual world. Why? Because they are fully satisfied in the pleasures of the self, meaning in service to Krishna. When one is in service to Krishna, no other desires remain, even where I may be situated. One only desires, let me remain in Krishna's service. Whether it's in Troy, Michigan, whether it's in Goloka Vrindavan. The only reason the devotee wants to go to Goloka Vrindavan is so that they can engage in service to Krishna. Yes, a byproduct is free, no birth, death, old age, disease. But that won't give the devotee happiness. What gives the devotee happiness is engaging in service. So, the result we know. So, what is our qualification? But what else do we need to know? How to do it. What is bhakti? What are the duties? What are the things we should perform in devotional service? So where does that come? Do we speculate on our own? So Prabhupada says, how does the duty become illuminated?
Grace of Lord.
By grace of the Lord. So it's explained here that his duty becomes self-illuminated by the grace of the Lord. So Krishna will explain to us how to do devotional service. In the 9th chapter, he explains very clearly. And how else Krishna instructs us in how to do devotional service? In the 4th chapter, he's going to tell us to do something very specific. What is he going to tell us? How else will we find out how to perform bhakti? By surrender unto Guru. Krishna says, Tadvidi paripatena pariprashnena sevaya upakdekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattva darshina. Krishna says, to know how to perform devotional service, one must approach a bona fide spiritual master. One must render service to Guru and humbly inquire. Pariprashnena sevaya. Why to Guru? Because they have seen the truth. Tattva darshinaha. They've had darshan of the absolute truth. And this process, they can reveal it to you. If I have seen the beauty of Hawaii, I can explain it to you. Guru has seen the truth and thus can explain it to us. So Krishna says, I'm giving you all the instructions. He says, Sarva dharmam parityaja mam ekam sharanam vraja. But still he says, one must surrender to Guru. Because the self-study will only get us so far. We need the coach, the teacher, to guide us. So he gives complete instruction and says you accept Guru. And he explains in Srimad Bhagavatam, who is Guru? It is his external representative. He is guiding us, Krishna is guiding us in our heart with this as super soul, as Chaitya Guru. And this Chaitya Guru is externally represented in the form of the spiritual master, our Guru. This is Krishna's description in the 11th canto as he's explaining to Uddhav. And he says that the Guru is my representative. And he says, you should worship him like you worship me. Not as me, they're different, but in the same love and respect. Because he is my representative. Just like when the king's minister comes and perform some action. They're coming with the power of the king. Similarly, the Guru is bringing the potency of Krishna as Krishna's messenger.
The implied meaning is a living Guru, no, Prabhu.
Yes. The full meaning is one should take initiation. The process of diksha. That connects one to Krishna directly. The Guru connects one back to, because from that connection flows the prescribed duties in bhakti, the mercy of how to perform bhakti. But someone has to connect into our heart, that pipe. On one end of the pipe is our heart, on the other end of the pipe is Krishna. And that is what Guru does through the process of diksha. And how instantly becomes cleansed? Because when one takes diksha, all of one's prior sins are vanished. Who takes them? Guru. Who is willing to take all of our sins? No one else. But Guru is willing to take. And Guru passes on to his Guru, and to his Guru, and his Guru, and ultimately, who is the recipient of it all? Krishna. Thus he says, Aham tvam sarva papebhyo. He says, I will deliver you from all sinful reactions. So everything is prescribed how it happens. So the duties become illuminated to us by the process of Guru, who guide us in how to perform bhakti. As soon as we have convinced in our heart, or have some inclination that yes, better than unregulated sense enjoyment is regulated sense enjoyment, but that is also going to be frustrating. Better than that is devotional service, where I'll be fully satisfied in the loving service of Krishna. We can then inquire how to perform. The first question was, though, what is our qualification to do bhakti? Must we progress through the karma kanda sacrifices, then sakam karma yoga, then to nishkam karma yoga, then to jnana yoga, ashtanga yoga, buddhi yoga, and then bhakti yoga? Must I go like first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade? Or can I go directly to bhakti? That is the question, and it's a great question. And so Krishna says in the 9th chapter, to perform the highest, purest form of bhakti, he says, patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhakti upartam ashnami prayatatmana. He says, if one offers to me to a leaf of fruit, of flower, or water, with love and devotion, I will accept it. Now, if we want to offer, the president of some country a gift, can you just go buy some gift, take it to him and say, here, or her? Do you have any ability to offer? Now, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is saying, to offer me, what qualification we need? Love and devotion. He doesn't say, well, you must have passed through 60 years of different types of jnana study. You must have done the different asanas and pratyaharas and pranayams and all the ashtanga yoga processes. And then he says, a leaf, a fruit, a flower. Is very significant in this verse. It means Krishna doesn't even need all the fruit. He says the simplest. So who is not qualified to offer even a glass of water or a flower? Anyone is not qualified? Even the poorest of the poor, even the least and least intelligent has qualification. Young or old, rich or poor, intelligent or not? Beautiful or not? Any of those things matter in offering of fruit, of flower, of leaf, or of water? So the qualification is love, bhakti. Krishna continues in the 9th chapter to say that even a dog eater is qualified to perform devotional service. What that means is even if we are in the most sinful condition today, we are in the most degraded of situation, bhakti, the elevator of bhakti, will come to our even lowest platform and bring us quickly to the top of the highest process. And we want proof, right? How the most fallen, sinful can be uplifted. We see the pastime of Jagai and Madai. The most sinful, so fallen, yet immediately were brought to the highest platform of bhakti by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda. Instantly. You can see, completely uplifted. Right? The pastime of a Jamil. It fallen to such a degraded position by the power of chanting Narayan once, not even intending to call to Krishna, but call to his son. The Vishnu Duttas came and saved him. And he continued his bhakti and reached the highest platform. Bilva Mangala Thakur was so addicted to sex life. Yet, by the mercy, he became the Lila Shukta, the pastime representative of Krishna. He had achieved the highest platform. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu toured India, he brought back 2 books. One was Brahma Samhita, and the second was Bilva Mangala Thakur's Krishna Amrita. Srila Prabhupada traveled the world and brought the most fallen, uncultured, fully engrossed in sinful activities, and brought to the highest platform of bhakti. So we have proof in our histories, and we have proof just yesterday. So there is no pre-qualification for bhakti. Just the desire, the humility to understand I am not the controller, and the mercy of Krishna and Guru. That happened. So there is no duty to perform but our spiritual duties. And those spiritual duties come to us from Guru. So Krishna says in 18, a self-realized man has no purpose to fulfill in the discharge of his prescribed duties, nor he has any reason not to perform work, nor he has any need to depend on any other living being. Therefore, 19, without being attached to the fruits of activities, one should act as a matter of duty. For working without attachment, one attains the supreme. So Krishna now says, you have no duty to do. You do your spiritual duty. But Krishna says, one should act as a matter of duty. But without attachment. Because as soon as we attach, we have all the reactions and all the bondage. And when one does, one attains the supreme, the highest destination. So this is now Krishna taking us from these karma kanda sacrifices to this. And he's going to speak in a few words. He'll continue on his duties, and then he's going to speak the very important verse about why we as spirit soul think we are the creators and doer of all the activities. And he's going to break our ego so that we can come to the process of bhakti. Okay? Any comments, questions? Yeah?
I have some 3-4 questions.
Okay.
You said by offering to demigods, it is not the best one. So, but I also heard that offering to demigod also would go to Krishna. But in that case also, do we get sin?
No, you don't get sin, but what Krishna says, he's going to explain in the 7th and 9th chapter, that when one has the opportunity to offer directly to Krishna, why one would take the indirect path. Because by the indirect path, here's the challenge, the potential for failure, is that when one performs the various activities to the devatas, one receives some material boons.
You get,
What happens when I receive material boons? I enjoy them.
I'll again do it.
And then I may become attached to them. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, it's explained that even the devatas, who are very intelligent, they desire to come to the material world. Why? Because in the opulent heavenly planets, it is very difficult to perform devotional service to Krishna. They know they should perform devotional service, but because they are in the midst of such material enjoyments, it becomes very difficult. So by performing our offerings to the different devatas, there is the potential that we will not progress to the ultimate anadir adir Govinda. We will get stuck. It's just like if you have a 100-story building, if you take the stairs, is there any guarantee you'll get to the top? No. You might get to the 30th floor saying, view's not so bad, I'll stay here. No need to go to the top. You may become attached to that experience. You may get tired along the way. You may say, forget it, and go back down. Because
your life may end.
Huh?
Your life may also end.
Your life may end.
Yeah. And again you have to.
Again, you have to start again. But if the elevator is there, left door is the stairs, right door is the elevator. In the elevator, you have to do no work. The elevator will pull you to the top. What is that elevator? It is Krishna's mercy. The elevator is bhakti. In the elevator of bhakti, Krishna's mercy does all the work. All we have to do is enter lovingly. And if there's only one button, which is the top floor, there's no risk of getting stuck anywhere else. And this elevator will come to whatever floor we are on. Even if we are in the subterranean floors. It'll come and get us. But in the stairs, we are dependent on our own energy, our own discipline, our own. So it's very dangerous, very difficult. Nobody takes the difficult path when an easy path is available. Only time we take the difficult path is when I don't know there is an easier path. The next question?
So Krishna refers bhakti everywhere. So does he mean pure bhakti, Prabhu, here? Because again, bhakti, as I understand, there are different levels. So the neophyte starts with certain material enjoyment. So that is called regulated sense enjoyment. So when you you will start with the regulated sense enjoyment as the base of bhakti. So
No, regulated sense enjoyment is not bhakti. Because who is the recipient of the sacrifices in regulated sense enjoyment?
Body.
Who is the recipient of the sacrifice?
Sir.
No.
body.
Who are we giving our sacrifices to? No, in regulated, in the karma
Devatas,
kanda,
yeah.
to the devatas.
Devatas, yeah.
Bhakti, who is the recipient of our bhakti?
Krishna.
Krishna. So we should not confuse, I'm going to do some charitable work, that is bhakti. No, who is the recipient of our charitable work? Some different living entities. Yes, I'm going and I'm doing some yajna for some devata. That is bhakti. Who is the recipient of that effort will determine whether it's bhakti or not. So when our effort is to Krishna, then one is entered the realm of bhakti. Now from bhakti, how to go to pure bhakti? So Krishna explains in the 7th chapter that there are 4 types of people. He calls them very pious, who come to me, Krishna is saying, but they have desires. They are in need of money. They are in distress and want freedom from distress. They are curious or wise. Arta, arta, arti, jignasu, jnani. These 4 people. So that is what we call motivated. But Krishna says they're very pious because they're coming to me even though they have some desire. And I will help purify them of that desire so that they'll desire a higher position and ultimately be fully satisfied. So even if one has desires, one should do bhakti. It is not that I first must become free of all desires, then do bhakti. No, Krishna says one should approach me still. Now, pure bhakti means Anyabilashita sunyam gyanakarmadyanavatam anukulyena Krishna nusyanam bhakti ruttama. Rupa Goswami gives the definition of pure bhakti in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Krishna will speak about pure bhakti in chapter 8. He says ananya bhakti, unalloyed, which means no other desires. My only desire in pure bhakti is, what is my only desire?
To please Krishna.
To please Krishna. Not to become free of my sins, not to become happy, not to become free of birth, death, old age, disease, not to bestow benedictions on my family, to give me some wealth, some health. My only desire is to please Krishna. That's pure. Now, reaching pure bhakti takes some time. Right? It's not going to happen overnight. But we should know what is the goal. But Krishna says, you don't have to be pure to start. To start any job, we have to have all the qualifications. But in bhakti, Krishna says, no, just start. Chant. Associate. Honor Krishna Prasadam. Read my books. ABCD. Association book, chanting diet. And we'll slowly come to the platform of pure bhakti. Because in pure bhakti, one experiences such satisfaction, nothing else, no other desires can even enter the mind. Because one is fully satiated. So, but don't make the mistake that, oh, I still have material desires, so I cannot do bhakti. That is one's own imagination. Krishna says himself, no, you still do bhakti. And I will help you purify of those desires. So though very high and potent, it is accessible to all. No one is precluded. Next question.
Just now you mentioned that when one is satisfied, does it mean intelligence, mind and senses are towards Krishna and not in enjoying the material senses, right?
One cannot be satisfied in throwing material. Is the billionaire satisfied? Is the most beautiful person in the universe, whatever, Miss Universe, Mr. Universe, they're satisfied? They're happy? Fully satisfied? Is the strongest person in the world most satisfied? Most famous person has the most followers on Facebook? They're most satisfied? Always something is left. Only time to be fully satisfied one can reach is in bhakti.
Which means the intelligence has to be in control, so that mind gets control and senses get control.
We are building our intelligence. Why I should work without sacrifice? I'm going to be in trouble. Okay, I have intelligence. Mind still may say, go enjoy senses. But intelligence says, no, the result will not be good for me. The senses may still enjoy those days. But intelligence says, no, practice bhakti. What happens when we practice bhakti? Sarvo parivinamuktam tat paret vinanirmala rishikesha rishikenam sevanam bhakti ruchate. That by doing bhakti, one's senses become purified. What does it mean purified? It means it no longer likes to taste the dry, dull matter because it is tasting the sweet, loving Krishna consciousness. So yeah, our senses, until they are purified, the intelligence has to control, has to not fall whim to the senses and the mind. And as one practices more and more bhakti, as the senses purify, the tastes we have, we all have practical experience. You all have been coming for some period of time now. You know, some material activities you have given up. No? Everyone? Why you gave up? Why you would give up? It automatic. But you're only giving up because something better has come. That's the only reason. Because something better has come. Well, that is our senses purifying. And how many of us still have some material attachments? All of us. How they will go. Just like the prior ones have gone also. As our senses purify, are you lamenting and thinking, oh, I used to have so much fun doing this, now I'm not doing? You're lamenting? Sometimes we may. But mostly we're thinking, no. Sometimes we think, how I could have enjoyed that? That's the purification of the senses. So when the senses are fully purified, when the mind is fully purified, we become pure. Pure devotional service means no other desires in the mind. The only desire, pleasing Krishna. But until we are pure, you're coming to a nice point, the intelligence must be strong. To say the mind, shh, quiet. Senses, shh, focus. Don't be roaming. Focus. We use intelligence because we know what's the fruit of that discipline? Eternal peace and happiness. So we become disciplined. How to gain strength and intelligence and discipline? Practicing bhakti. Following the instructions of Guru. Association. Taking Krishna Prasada. So yes, while the senses and mind are impure, the intelligence must be strong to control. We all have urges. Alright? But intelligence say no. Why? Because I'm going to suffer. Next question. You're on a roll.
Offering to the Lord, just you mentioned to me that we need to offer to Guru, right? Because we don't know how to offer to Lord. Because we may, based on our mental speculation, we may not follow certain things.
Yes. So in the process of offering foods to Krishna, we go through the chain of command. We go through, and so Guru guides us in how to offer to Krishna. So we offer to Guru. Guru takes the offering, purifies it from all the connect, and offers to his Guru. His Guru continues to purify, offers to his Guru, and all along the way, our offering, which may be contaminated, not by improper ingredients of salt and spices and overcooked, undercooked. What is the contamination in our offering? Our consciousness. Yome bhakta. How much love went into the offering. That is the ingredient Krishna relishes in any food stuff we offer. So we're still a little bit, we're cooking, oh, I'm hungry, I can't wait to eat. There's some contamination. It's okay. But continue. So by offering to Guru, through Guru Parampara, it'll reach Krishna in his pure state, and Krishna will accept.
So instead of offering directly to the Lord, we should offer it through Guru only.
That's why when we offer our foodstuffs, we first chant Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami. We chant 3 times that mantra. No? Why? We're saying, Prabhupada, please accept. If you've taken initiation, then you offer to your Guru, then through parampara. But still we chant Prabhupada's pranam prayers. Then we chant Namo Mahavadahanaya. We're asking for the mercy of Garuda Mahaprabhu. Then Namo Brahmanya Devaya, offering to Krishna. So that should be in our consciousness when we're offering. Which is why on our altar we must have picture of Prabhupada. We must have picture of Prabhupada. How you will serve Krishna? Directly. In our impure state. It's okay?
I have two questions.
Yes.
Both are like doubts inside of me.
Yeah.
Just now you said one that Krishna can accept, just offer the leaf or something, right? But now you said that like some layman can go and offer anything. He doesn't know about the Prabhupada. But how can he know the Prabhupada? He knows that only God is he can reach, right?
Yeah.
So he cannot offer anything in that case?
No, he can offer. So the question is, if someone doesn't know about Guru Parampara and they just offer directly to Krishna, some layman, new person, will Krishna accept it? Yes, Krishna is accepting because he is looking at how much sincerity in our desire is there. And based on the knowledge we have, what we are doing. So, yes, someone may not know, but still Krishna will accept. But now that we know, I have a chance to offer directly to Krishna, or I have the chance to offer through Guru Parampara, in which my offering and the mercy will become purified. Now that I know which option I should choose, right? So, and our job is to help as many know as possible, right? So we can endeavor to render service to Krishna.
For us who knows, we should have the Prabhupada photo to offer.
Yes,
We should not offer that.
correct.
We are not doing that.
That's all. No, nothing is lost. Now you know.
Then I'll offer some fruit daily to Krishna. Or whatever cooking.
If
we
you
are
don't have
offering.
photo, even a Prabhupada in your mind, you say, Prabhupada, I'm offering to you, will you please give to Krishna? You know who he is. If you have a friend who knows how to access some famous person, you might say, I have some gift, you'll give to him? In our heart, we should say, Prabhupada, please accept.
And the second one is, it's like, yeah, we know that we should not attach to the results, right? Even everyone knows that, but by practice is very difficult for us. Because without attachment, a lenience will come, right?
Yeah.
Anyhow, Krishna will take care, right? If I don't have like, okay, today I want to be in a good position,
Yeah.
then only you can work out. I want to take care of my family. Take care means you are expecting some results. I want to go. Yes, Krishna is not coming here, right? But we know that it is a temporary. But without that in a mind, you cannot work out. If you are not in that mind, definitely you can go and farm. You can have 2 cows, right? You can also do that. So there Krishna also there. But to balance these 2 things, right? It's very difficult.
So the question is, I'll summarize your question, you confirm I summarized it accurately. How to remain motivated to perform our activities when we don't have the fruit to take. So right now, the fruit is what inspires me to perform my actions sincerely. I am motivated to do my work in the office sincerely because I'm getting a paycheck. So that fruit is the motivating force to help me become sincere. If I want to get a good grade in school, then I know I have to be sincere in my study. Whatever, all facets of life, right? So then how to detach from the fruit and remain enthusiastic in our activities. Because otherwise we'll become, as you said, lenient, I'll say lazy. Not Krishna will do it. It's up to Krishna. Right? Well, that's a very intelligent question, a very important question. And thus,
And also I was
Krishna-
struggling myself to find out that I have to prepare some interview. Sometimes I have to do 16 hours. Which one I have to do? Time management also can be.
yes, time management. So, Krishna is going to tell Arjuna, Vigata Jvara. He's going to say, fight without being lethargic, lazy. He's going to say, you do your duty enthusiastically. Because he knows that this consciousness might come. Whether I work or not, if the fruit comes, I won't care. It's like the government workers. Their job is so secure, there's no motivation to actually work. Right? So, how to fight that situation is very simple. As we progress in devotional service, we'll see that I am working for Krishna. And that inspires me to work even harder than when I am working for myself. Because my love for Krishna is so strong now, I want to work for his pleasure. I'll do the absolute best I can. You are a father. You love your daughters? You'll work harder for them or for you? For them, of course. You'll work harder for their benefit than your own. Why? Because you have deep love for them. Not because they are your daughters. Not because they are your blood. It is because you have love for them. So you'll sacrifice your own for their benefit. Right? When we acquire love for Krishna, one will work with the greatest of enthusiasm. Because we are working to please Krishna. And thus, Rupa Goswami explains, Utsaha nischaya daryat tat karma pravartanat. He says, these jana sangat satovatihi sadbir bhaktir siddhiti. These 6 things one must perform in bhakti to be successful, to assure success. And the first one is utsaha, meaning one must be enthusiastic, not lazy. And what is the motivating force? Out of our love to please Krishna, I'll work even harder than just to please myself. So how does one now practically work? One sees all around us, people are in ignorance, not having this knowledge that I have acquired, and I'm finding this lovely situation. So let me go to the office. Let me get one more promotion. Let me do my work so hard. Why? Because more paycheck will come. And now more paychecks come, I can buy more books. And I can share Krishna's knowledge with everyone. So let me work a little bit harder. And then, let me do a little bit more in working. Because all around here, no one has chance to go and see the form of the Lord. No one has chance to sing and hear and render service in a temple. Let me help in construct a temple. Because Krishna's children are all around me. And they are suffering. And Krishna, as the father, is in anxiety, thinking when my children will come back to me. Let me work a little bit more enthusiastically. Let me work a little bit more intelligently. Let me see how I can make the most income. Driven by love and compassion, you'll work even harder, but you'll work smarter. So, when we are motivated in the right means, then you'll become. But you won't stress. Because if the result doesn't come, that promotion doesn't come, who is quote-unquote losing? Not me. I'm not going to do anything with the fruits anyways. The fruits, if they came, they're going to be used in Krishna's service. Without stress, the number one goal of corporate America, corporations around the world, is to reduce workplace stress. Why? They're nice, they want to see? No. Because stress reduces productivity, efficiency. So when we reduce our stress by detaching from the result, we'll actually become more productive in the office. We'll become more successful. What used to take us 8 hours to do will now take us 6 hours to do. because I'm not wasting my time attaching to the result. But I'm still so enthusiastic because if it comes, it'll be used in Krishna's service. So, I can shrink the amount of effort I have to do, but increase the result. Only Krishna consciousness can make that happen. And so, your time for your japa will become very important. We should not work so much that it brings at risk our sadhana. That we don't have time to chant our rounds, that we don't have time to read, that we don't have time to render service. So we should work to the point that, and if it comes or not comes, that is Krishna's decision. So we can work completely stress-free. And that takes some faith. But you'll not become lazy. Because our goal will be how I can be the best instrument in Krishna's plan. And if Krishna has given us some gift, some intelligence, some ability, some skill, we'll say, let me not waste it. Let me not waste it to satisfy my senses. Let me not waste it by being lazy. Let me use it to fulfill Krishna's mission. And thus one can become extraordinarily enthusiastic. And that is why you see devotees who have become extraordinarily successful in medicine, engineering, business, all these things. They become very successful. How? Because they're working for Krishna, not for their senses. Not lazy. If you study the life of Bhaktivedanta Thakur, he had the highest position in the British government in India as a magistrate. He was so successful as a magistrate that when he wanted to retire, they said no. And they built a train line, a single gauge train just to his house to pick him up every morning and take him to the office. Why they would do that? Because he was so successful. But he's considered our seventh Goswami. He came from Krishna Loka to revive Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. But he worked. He was a grihastha. He had children. But he had made time. 64 rounds he was chanting every day. Writing hundreds of books. Performing as a magistrate. He had 9 children, I believe. So what is our issue? What is our issue?
I have to develop love to Krishna to be given to give something so that we can work.
Krishna will give all the potency we need to manage our family affairs, to manage our work affairs, to manage our spiritual life. If we have desire, we have to desire it.
You need to trust.
Faith. Faith. Being motivated in our activities without attachment to the result comes when we have knowledge and faith. Some will say easier said than done. But it's been done. And it's done every day. So that's how we have to approach our... And we should be mindful that our responsibilities should not overstep our spiritual responsibility. And if we sincerely desire, there's enough time. We waste so much time. There's enough time to chant our rounds nicely, to read a little bit nicely, and to do our job, maintain our family, maintain our spouse, and all these things we have to do. There's enough time.
Also, Krishna arranges the Prabhu. Automatically, he will arrange everything.
He says, 9th chapter, I personally come. I carry what you have. All the assets we have, he carries and protects and brings what we're missing. What you lack, he says, Krishna says, I bring it for you when you become my devotee. So whatever we're lacking time, Krishna will bring it. If we have time, Krishna will preserve it. We just have to start and see. It'll happen. If you study Srila Prabhupada's life, it's unimaginable how he finished all the activities he did in the days he was I mean, if you do the math, he was writing nearly 8 pages of purports a day. He established and built 108 temples in 12 years. How much work to build one temple? How much work to write one book? He wrote over 70. He traveled the world 14 times in those days. Much more difficult. 5,000 disciples he trained in the perfect science of Krishna consciousness at the age of 70. Who was giving that ability? That power, that potency? It's Krishna. Krishna's name. Any other questions, comments?
Prabhuji, I am poor in faith. How can I? I am trying to faith something. How can I improve my faith?
How to improve faith. How to improve
I am
faith.
reading, seeing books and all, but in the faith matter, I am some confusing.
Yeah. How to improve faith. So faith develops with our devotional service. The more devotional service, bhakti we do, our faith increases. How? Because we do some bhakti and some positive experiences come, that increases my faith. This is working. And that increased faith leads to more bhakti. More bhakti leads to more faith. Just like, I always use the example, a child. He comes to the edge of the swimming pool. He has no faith he can swim. He sees all the other children swimming, but he thinks, can I swim? So then the teacher comes and says, yes, you can swim. Your body is made up of this 70% water, you will float, there's a buoyancy, you move your hands like this, you kick your legs, you'll swim. So child is now convinced. So child just steps in the water and holds on to the edge. Let's go. Holds on again. Let's go a little bit longer, a little bit more faith. And then slowly, how the faith is building? By jumping in the water and doing. Doing under teacher, showing. After third, fourth, fifth time they go to the pool, they come to the edge, they don't wait, they just jump in. How? How they have faith? By prior experience. So in bhakti, we can acquire all the knowledge, all the science. But until we do, until we step into it, it won't manifest. So the knowledge is helpful. It supports our experience. But in and of itself, knowledge will not. It has to come from practice. So the more we practice in devotional service, our faith will build. And that is why faith is the first step to Krishna Prem. Shraddha. So just keep practicing, keep chanting, keep associating, keep praying to Krishna. Krishna, I'm chanting your holy names. They say you are dancing on my tongue, but I don't see it. Help me see it. Help me have faith in the potency of your holy names. How will Krishna respond? He will help us develop faith. You have faith, otherwise you would not come. You have so many things you can do. But you're coming. It means you have faith. Yes, maybe not firm, solid faith, but it's growing. You have more faith today than a few months ago. No? Because you are practicing bhakti. So keep practicing and faith will come. Any question?
Prabhuji, like we face many situations in day-to-day life. Sometimes our ego, envy, I could see the two thoughts in my mind. Like one says good and one says bad. Always in all the situations. Though I don't react to the bad thoughts, once in 10 times, I am no influenced by that. So that makes us hate ourselves. Sometimes why we are reacting to such a bad thought and why that thought also appears, though we chant, I don't know how to.
Even for me also.
For everybody, I guess for everyone will face that.
Sometimes that will come suddenly.
Duality.
Okay, our intelligence is strong, but even though that is poking.
So, maybe we are the only ones with a turbulent mind? Arjuna says in his 6th chapter, it is easier to control the wind than it is to control the mind. How difficult it is to capture the wind. He says that's easier than capturing the mind. So Krishna says, you must make the mind your friend, because an uncontrolled mind is the enemy. And you read the first 10 verses of chapter 6. It explains beautiful verses on controlling the mind. So the mind, remember, has been acquiring all these thoughts and desires for millions of lifetimes, not one or two. It is a reservoir of desires going back from when we came to the material world. Now 1, 2, 3, 10 years we've been practicing devotional service. So we're still in the process of cleansing the mind. Meaning, as we put Krishna conscious thoughts in the mind, we have to make space for it. So what goes out? All of those other thoughts. So as we're putting more and more thoughts into the mind, still some residual crazy ideas are there. So our responsibility is, don't worry that you're chanting your japa and some really filthy thought comes in your mind, right? It happens. Who cares? Say, yeah, it's my past, no problem. But don't let the intelligence become overpowered by the mind. So don't lament that the thoughts are coming. Just let it go. Ignore it. Don't pay attention to it. Don't render service to those thoughts. And don't become frustrated or angry or upset that those thoughts are. Know where they're coming from. They're coming from so much conditioning. And know by doing my devotional service, eventually all those thoughts will go. But our main responsibility is don't pay attention to it. Don't let the intelligence fall to those thoughts. So when we are chanting, actually in chanting, our mind will go everywhere but Krishna. So each time it goes, and Krishna says, bring it back. He says, you bring your mind back. When it wanders, bring it back. So each time it wanders, I'm chanting in 3rd grade. I used to eat bubble gum and I didn't like the bubble gum. And then one day my mother gave me pizza on my birthday. All these things happen, right? Each time it happens, Krishna. Just keep practicing. Don't become frustrated, upset. It happens. And that is why we say a few things for chanting. You chant at a regulated time. Because the mind becomes trained. This fellow is not going to listen to me during this time. He's doing his japa. And the mind starts to actually calm when we have a regulated time. The best regulated time is in the morning, Brahma Murta. We chant out loud. Why we chant out loud? We should hear the words. So the senior devotees, they explain that when you're chanting, we sometimes wonder where I should put my mind. Just one thing. Hear all 16 words. So as soon as the mind wanders, go back. Okay, let me hear the mantra. By actively trying to hear the mantra, the mind is automatically captured. And it's going to wander. Don't worry. Just keep trying to bring it back each time it wanders. And eventually it will wander less and less. And the more regulated we are in our chanting, the more fixed we are. When we're chanting and we're driving to the office, we cannot do that. When we're, chanting and cooking, stirring at the stove. Yes, in the initial stages we may do that to, reach our rounds. But then we should try to improve the quality of our chanting by regulating it, coming in a fixed position, fixed time, fixed process, and hearing each of the mantras is the most potent way to concentrate the mind. And slowly on. But don't become frustrated by it. And know when those thoughts come, it's a function of my past. But don't let the intelligence become overpowered by it. So that's the discipline we learn. And eventually those thoughts will slowly, it'll take time. We've built them up for millions of years. All these thoughts. They're crazy thoughts. That's why I said, if you write down all your thoughts in your mind, no one will invite you home for lunch if they see that list. There's so many filthy ideas in the mind. No worries. I'm in the process of cleansing. Let it go. Don't stress.
Yesterday, listening to one Prabhupada's audio, very, of course, Prabhupada's statements are really sometimes. He said, do not cheat while you chant. It was like, so that's pretty much like, he was saying, cheating is more like, you feel like you want to finish the round, focus somewhere and you chant. So it's more like, very difficult to accept with Prabhupada's statements are like that. Cheat, Okay.
We chant just to finish our round. This word, I finished my rounds, is not so good. That is why when we take initiation, when you all take initiation tomorrow, right? Or yesterday. You'll tell your spiritual master, I'll chant 16 rounds. Minimum! Not maximum. Minimum. So, yes, our minimum and maximum are at equal point right now. But in time, the taste for chanting will develop and it will become when I can chant again. Like that. But it's okay. Don't have unreasonable expectations of your chanting, but have goals to bring to the highest platform of chanting. So have reasonable expectations of yourself today, but set the goal of having that pure taste of chanting. And then we inquire how to reach it. Right? So don't become, forget it, I'm not doing this, my mind won't. No, then you'll never get to the goal. Nothing we did the first time we were good at. The first time you played cricket, you were an all-star? The first time you drove a car, it went just straight? The first time you hit a tennis ball, it was perfect? Then why the first 100 times we've chanted our rounds, the first 1,000 times we chanted, we expect it to be perfect? But our goal should be perfection. And then slowly make progress. So we'll no longer say, I finished my rounds. We'll no longer, we meditate. How many are left? How many are left? Only 4 are gone. Please help them go faster, Krishna. Let's not do that. Instead, Krishna, help me taste the nectar of your holy names.
Sometimes the taste is there, like little, okay, one round, that full taste is there. But the more the round you do, that's where like you feel like didn't feel like not doubting the mantra, but more towards time, I can do some other work for this.
Yeah.
So that is what is kind of.
And that's because we're still developing the faith and the potency of the holy names, right? Because when we say at like time, I have some other work, what is more valuable of our time than calling out to the names of Krishna? Right? So our faith is still developing. So it's going to happen. But still finish your rounds. Do your rounds. Even if we have to a little bit mechanically, because if we don't do that and we wait for the purity to come, we're stuck. I'll chant when I've had a pure taste. Well, the pure taste will only come from chanting. So the more we chant, the more that purity will come.
After some time, Krishna will arrange the time also.
Not after some time, initially. Now, most of you are chanting, 16 rounds. Where you had 2 hours in your day prior to, where was it? It wasn't there. You were busy. But Krishna made the time for us by detaching us from all these other mundane attachments. Immediately we say, chant your 16 hours, we say, no time. No time. The time is there. We just have to make it. So Krishna will arrange it. Shall we chant? And we pray that we can chant with sincerity and dedication, and pray for having the taste, acquiring the taste of the holy names. Because trust me, our acharyas explained, once you have tasted the pure nectar of the holy name, it's so sweet. Like when Prabhuji sees a plate of rasgulla, one is not enough. Chanting 16 rounds will not be enough, because the sweetness is so deep that we won't stop. Any other words won't give the same sweetness. Nothing will come but chanting Krishna's name's glories. Okay. You've posted this? Prabhuji, you can post this. Jai Shri Krishna.